Part 39. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 381. Xiaoyang Village, the ownership belongs to Xiaoming, the role explorer. After the village is established, the completion of the migration task is clear at a glance. How well Han Dong and Xiaoming have done can be seen from the rewards. The location of the new village, the number of villagers rescued by Han Dong, the number of orcs killed along the way, the casualties of the villagers, are all referenced by the system. The village has been moved to the sea, and the orcs who are not good at water battles naturally do not pose much threat. The location of the new village is okay. Due to the strong military force, enough villagers have been rescued along the way. Good. Not to mention the number of orcs killed, an orc hero was killed, nice. The casualties of the villagers are not large. Especially the villagers of Xiaoyang village, basically no one died, awesome. In this summary, Han Dong completed this task perfectly. So the system rewarded a village with a fairly complete building. Because it is a village, there are no defensive measures, fortresses, base camps, castles, etc. The administrative buildings only have the lowest level meeting hall, and there are no interior halls or parliaments. But other infrastructure is quite comprehensive: markets, taverns, blacksmith shops, material warehouses, etc. There are no advanced things like magic towers. However, the 1-4th level barracks are all available. Of course, they are only the most basic barracks. The 2-4th level barracks are normal, and they produce human native soldiers, 2nd level archers, 3rd level griffins, 4th level swordsmen. The 3rd level griffin is a flying soldier, and its ability to fly and counterattack multiple times makes it one of the backbone forces of mankind. The 4th level swordsman is similar. There are no outstanding features, and the attributes are very average. But they are absolutely indispensable in fighting a big war. Griffins and swordsmen have always been the main force of mankind. The most amazing is the 1st level barracks, which may be because Han Dong has been using ascetics. Most of the villagers in Xiaoyang village have also changed their jobs to ascetics. The 1st level barracks in Xiaoyang village are not guard towers that produce ordinary 1st level infantry, they are temples that produce 1st level ascetics. The 1st level ascetics have healing spells. Xiaoming is very satisfied with such a new village. Especially the existence of the 1st level ascetic soldier barracks, which also provides Han Dong with a source of supplementary ascetics. For Xiaoyang village, the first thing the explorer did was to build a shipyard. How can a village located on an island lack a shipyard? The new Xiaoyang village has no farmland and must rely on fishing for a living. Therefore, a shipyard must be built first. Let the villagers get small fishing boats to ensure the food source of the village. The main purpose is to let the villagers live in peace. The perfect completion of the migration task will definitely reward more than just a good village. Han Dong received the military reward, 3rd level 0 griffins *7, 4th level 0 swordsmen *4. Han Dong received the general reward, 0th level 3 white crossbow general iron pillar. Taizu was actually the leader of the villagers in Xiaoyang village, and he was also the first to become an ascetic monk. After the success of this mission, he became a 0-level crossbow general. Unfortunately, his strength is indeed a bit poor. He is just a white general. However, it is better to have one than not. Besides, in Liaodong, the strong ones have already joined the army or been drafted. It is good to have a white general among the villagers. Han Dong obtained a medium-sized Chinese sailing ship *1. This is obviously because Xiaoyang village was moved to the sea, and the system adjusted the reward. Obtained strategic equipment - holy shoes. Level 3 strategic equipment, equipment position boots. Function, add 2 for each of the 4 strategic attributes of the hero. The attributes of this treasure are okay, but it is one of the components of the combined treasure angel alliance. The real benefit appears after strengthening. Holy shoes after one strengthening, allow human and elf forces to be mixed without reducing morale. And at the beginning of each battle, the morale of the entire army of the own side is added to, which lasts for 15 minutes. Xiao Ming thought for a long time before he gave the holy shoes to Han Dong and took back the water god shoes. Now that there is a boat, Han Dong can travel between Xiaoyang village and the land by boat. It is better for Xiao Ming's many characters to use the water god shoes. Han Dong's equipment and treasures are quite good. The four-dimensional strategic attributes, after the bonus of equipment, reach 11, 10, 3, and 4. The attack and defense are already in double digits. As we all know, troops with high morale may have high morale and will actively attack for the second time when attacking. Han Dong's warrior order and courage medal can increase morale a little. His own primary leadership skills add a little more morale. The enhanced holy shoes will increase the morale of the entire army by 2 points at the beginning of each battle. This morale is so high that it is terrifying. Combined with the enhanced crazy demon shield, his troops have a 1/4 chance of attacking once more for every 4 melee attacks. So scary, Han Dong's continuous attacks on the battlefield can probably make many enemies doubt their lives. He looks weak, but who knows that in close combat, the enemy troops will swing their swords, 1, 2, 3, 4, and chop endlessly. Who can stand this? Xiao Ming is looking forward to that scene. The deceased has stored a lot of bone trebuchets in Guangmingding. Xiao Ming spent gold coins to equip the explorer with 4, Han Dong and Qiu Santung each with 2. It's a pity that Han Dong and others don't have treasures such as the secret of artillery, so they can only use trebuchets in siege battles. The explorer can borrow the secret of forest artillery of the deceased at any time. The catapult can be used in ordinary battlefields. In the early stage of the game, this is such a great strategic advantage. Xiao Ming can already start to imagine the scene of using catapults to smash the enemy to death in the future battlefield. There is a blacksmith shop in Xiaoyang village. The level 1 blacksmith shop of the human race can build a level 1 crossbow cart. Xiao Ming equipped himself and Han Dong Qiu Santung with one. Xiao Ming also watched the blacksmith's forging technique carefully. Let's see if he can learn a little bit. In Xiaoyang village, the explorer and Han Dong reorganized the troops. As expected, all the more than 300 villagers joined Han Dong's army. There are also soldiers recruited on the road and the military forces in the barracks of Xiaoyang village. Together, Han Dong's military strength is quite strong. And the golden statue of the god of light can now be charged. Xiao Ming can fully use its functions. So Xiao Ming was not polite at all and converted all the human soldiers under Han Dong into ascetics, except for the griffins. As for the 8 wild boars, 5 died in the successive battles, and the remaining 3 were fired by Xiao Ming before crossing the sea. Now the strength of Han Dong's troops is as follows: Command, 492/540, number of troops, 5/6. Han Dong add 4th level swordsman ascetics *8 add 2nd level swordsman ascetics *8 add 1st level infantry ascetics *14. Qiu Santung add 2nd level archer ascetics *37. Taizu add 1st level crossbowman ascetics *100. 1st level crossbowman ascetics *242. 3rd level griffin add 14. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 382. Converting and equipping the ascetics is a very hard job. Even Xiao Ming, who is a 13, was exhausted. Hundreds of arms and creatures cannot be converted all at once, they must be converted one by one. Fortunately, they are all human beings, and they are grateful to the explorer and Han Dong. This transformation did not encounter much resistance. After that, all arms must be equipped with spiritual pets one by one. The types of these spiritual pets are a mess, and Xiao Ming feels that they are almost randomly assigned. Dogs, cats, pigs, and pigs are the most common, pigeons are much less, and eagles have even fewer spiritual pets. As for the spiritual ostrich, it only appeared 2 or 3 times. Most of the spiritual pets obtained by the swordsman are cat spirits and dog spirits. Several of the 4th level swordsmen summoned spirit eagles. The spiritual pets obtained by the archers are mostly cat spirits, followed by pigeon spirits. The new General Taizu and the group of 1st level crossbowmen who were transformed from villagers, the spiritual pets they summoned are mostly pig spirits. At the same time, several other types also appeared. Eagles and ostriches are also mostly among these people. There is no way, the number base of this group of villagers is too large. The phenomenon that there are the most pig spirits is probably due to their origin. As the saying goes, you can't have a family without pigs, and it is normal for farmers to have an obsession with pigs. Although the farmers have all been transformed into ascetics and joined the army, the ability to pay taxes every day has disappeared. However, ascetics are also one of the production arms. They are all poor people who can't do some work. The value created will be higher. When summoning spiritual pets, Xiaoming was looking forward to summoning a group of flying pets. In this way, Han Dong's troops will gain a great air advantage. This point can only be said to be unsatisfactory. The total number of flying spirit pets is only about 60, and most of them are pigeons, so the combat power is still lacking. Alas, 8 out of 10 things in the world are not as expected. This little regret is nothing. It's better than having none. The equipment bag of the ascetic monk rarely has such a happy moment. Every ascetic monk's weapons, suits, and armor of the spirit pet are all money. Poor Xiaoming has to consume source energy one by one to strengthen the inherited equipment of these ascetic monks. Suddenly Xiaoming had an idea and used source energy to strengthen the armor of the spirit pet once. The results are gratifying. I decide my source energy. Xiaoming's current source energy has increased several times compared to before. When strengthening, Xiaoming's wishes can be slightly reflected. Of course, it is still wishful thinking to equip pet armor with wings to fly. Xiaoming had to settle for the second best and let the armor have the ability to float. You can float on the water with your pet and will not drown. In addition, the golden statue of the god of light can cast blessing of the ocean. The blessed ascetic will gain the ability to breathe underwater while believing in the god of the sea. At the beginning, Xiaoming did not want to cast it on a large scale. Only the explorer, Han Dong, Qiu Santung, and Taizu received this blessing. After hesitating for a while, he also blessed the 8 4th-level swordsman ascetics. At this time, Xiaoming did not know what changes had taken place. But soon, when Xiaoming switched to the diver, he immediately found that the number of believers in his Temple of Light had increased. The Temple of Light of the diver had some believers before, which were the children of the sea tribe headed by Emily. They originally believed in the god of the sea, and after playing in the temple for a long time, they believed in the god of light by the way. In this way, they met the conditions, and in the field of belief, they belonged to the diver's force. Logically speaking, people like explorers and Han Dong are not sea tribes, and even if they believe in the god of the sea, they should not be classified as divers' forces. But there are always exceptions. The golden statue of the god of light was strengthened by the sea god himself. The ability of ocean blessing comes from this. Therefore, all the ascetics blessed by the statue, regardless of their race, are assumed to belong to the divers in terms of faith. This test temple can finally be developed. Xiaoming experimented casually, and the temple can indeed be charged with source energy, faith, value like the statue. Faith value can be charged, and Xiaoming accidentally found a way to increase the number of believers. Upgrading is a matter of course. It took the explorer 2 days to give all of Han Dong's human subordinates the blessing of the ocean. Because they live on an island, everyone has nothing to reject about believing in one more sea god. What's more, they can also gain the ability to breathe underwater, which is what they want. The test Temple of Light in Grey Rock Town has finally been formalized. Adventure Map, the primary Temple of Light in Grey Rock Town of the Undersea Sea Clan, believe in both the Sea God and the God of Light. Manager, Diver. Faith value, 8,000 plus /100,000, believers, 449/1000. Daily maintenance requires 100 points of faith. Function, 1. Accept the prayers of believers every day to increase faith value. As a manager, the diver has the right to call 1/5 of it for his own use. 2. Strategic map transmission and reception. Heroes and generals who believe in the God of the Sea and the God of Light can lead their troops through this temple to transmit between the strategic map and the adventure map. However, this function is temporarily unavailable because there is no corresponding transmission point on the strategic map. This function is still sealed. This requires the diver to be randomly transmitted to the strategic map after he is promoted to a hero. Then the diver will find a suitable place to build a temple, set it as the corresponding transmission point. Only then can the seal be lifted and the transmission function be opened. Of course, heroes who are teleported to the strategic map through this temple for the first time can choose to teleport randomly in addition to fixed point teleportation. The rules of all temples are the same in this regard. 3. Believers can consume their own faith value. Let the temple use low-level spells such as healing, blessing, and luck on believers. 4. Change to an ascetic. Believers who have reached level 0 and level 10 can voluntarily change to a level 1 ascetic in the temple. After all, it is only a primary temple, and the functions open to believers stop here. There are also some functions that only managers can use. 5. The first guard of the temple. Divers are allowed to form a temple guard composed of believers on the adventure map and the strategic map. After the formation is successful, the leader of the guard will receive special blessings from the temple. Xiaoming is probably some kind of skin. It is similar to the admiral skin of the researcher. But it must be formed successfully before it can be obtained, and all members of the first guard must be believers of the temple. This is a pitfall. Now most of the believers are soldiers in Han Dong's army. This unit belongs to the explorers, and further to the Huo's Chamber of Commerce. The Huo's Chamber of Commerce is a branch of the ascetic monk. It is impossible for this unit to turn around and join the diver. Not to mention the price of betrayal is simply unaffordable. Even if you lean on a big tree for shade, the ascetic monk is a big tree that is 10,000 times stronger than the new force of the diver. The diver still has to rely on himself to slowly accumulate strength. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 383. Xiao Xiao wants to see ... whether to come out or not, it's up to you. The message from his sister was directly delivered to Xiaoming in the game, and Xiaoming had to quickly glance at the last function. 6. Divine Art. Divine Power Strike, Level 1 Divine Art, only available to temple managers/divers. Consume 1000 points of faith in the temple to launch a divine attack on a single entity. Cause 1000 points of divine power damage, which cannot be offset by physical defense or magic defense. Damage to evil creatures add 100%, damage to non-aquatic creatures add 50%. This divine art is one of the killers in the temple system. Divine art is not an ability that the player can master, but an ability that the gods lend to the player. The effects are just the same. It is equivalent to the system opening a cheat for the player. However, Xiaoming has no time to sigh. His son wants to find him, so no matter how big the matter is, he has to put it aside temporarily. Xiaoming hurriedly quit the game and entered Guangmingding to play with Xiao Xiao. This kind of thing has happened frequently since returning to Pangu Star. Xiao Xiao not only sticks to Yin Xiaoming, but also to Lu Xiaoming. Xiao Xiao's body shape is special, so it is not suitable for him to show up on Pangu Star. He is not afraid of being seen when he appears in Chu Star system. Unfortunately, it is not possible for the time being. Xiao Xiaoer cannot live without air. Therefore, before the Insect King builds a nest and a life support system, Xiao Xiaoer cannot appear in space. Lu Xiaoming has to visit Xiao Xiaoer in Guangmingding from time to time. Xiao Xiaoer needs Xiao Jing'er to go there in person and leave a message for Yin Xiaoming in the game cabin. But summoning Lu Xiaoming is simple. There is no surveillance in Chu Star system. Just tell the tree demon Xiao Lu, and Xiao Lu will stretch out the branch and pass the message. In order to keep the information smooth, the butler clone beside Lu Xiaoming is always there. Calling the two big guys to play together is a new way of playing invented by Xiao Xiaoer after returning to Pangu Star. In the Xianjian world, Yin Xiaoming cannot enter the demon locking tower, and Lu Xiaoming cannot leave. The two Xiaomings never appear in the same frame. Xiao Xiaoer never has this opportunity. After leaving the reincarnation space, there are no restrictions in this regard. On the first day, Silver Xiaoming and Green Xiaoming accompanied Xiao Xiaoer in Guangmingding together. As a result, this little guy developed such a bad habit. He always wants to play with the two big guys. And Xiao Xiao's favorite project is, the two big guys become 3 heads and 6 arms, and then fight for him to watch. This stinky boy thinks Xiaoming is an actor. The duel between 6-arm swordsmanship and 6-arm swordsmanship. It looks sparking and quite exciting, but it is actually very boring. Xiaoming is not an old naughty boy, and he can fight with himself. Xiaoming fights with himself, which feels super boring. Oh, but my son likes to watch, what can I do? I had to do my best to chop each other, and I also had to strive to make the fight look good and bring out the old. It really consumed a lot of Xiaoming's brain cells. His acting skills have also improved. In this case, you usually have to play with Xiao Xiaoer for an hour before you are allowed to go back to work. In the past few days, the explorer has been busy on the strategic map, occasionally teleporting back to the adventure map to trade goods. The deceased continued archaeology in the new abandoned map, digging out the ruins of various buildings from the soil and repairing them with source energy, trying to restore the vitality of the map. In addition to trading, the diver is mainly busy practicing forging technology. He often has to be a bodyguard for Emily and the children, sending them to play with the ancient giant octopus. The Z-series puppetry studied in the reincarnation world can use almost any material to make mechanical people. This skill has also been recognized by the game system. The diver ran to the giant octopus and showed off his Z-series puppetry. These mechanical people obviously aroused the interest of the octopus boss. Without saying a word, he took away all the ownership. The puppets on land are clumsy and not very flexible on the seabed. In order to have more fun, this boss actually created a space without any sea water. It's like an underwater zoo. Put the mechanical man there to play, and play in all kinds of ways. Z-series puppets were originally used for combat, but the octopus boss has this kind of heaven-defying means. He directly wiped out the combat intelligence of the puppet and replaced it with funny intelligence. Such a novel environment without sea water, and a zoo with so many stupid mechanical men. Naturally, it aroused the strong interest of the children of the sea tribe. They ran into play for a while from time to time. Although the sea tribe must survive in the sea, it is not a big problem to leave the water for a short period of time. And there is sea water next to it. If it feels dry, run into the water to moisten it and breathe. They can run back to the zoo to play. The interest is very high. This also gave Xiaoming a new idea. Who said that puppets can only be used for combat? They can also be used for playing. If others want to modify the intelligence of the puppet, they probably need to reach the terrible level of the octopus boss to do it. But Xiaoming can program. He thought that he should be able to make a non-combat puppet mechanical man with his own ability. So Xiao Ming spent most of his time on this. The researcher led the fleet and arrived at Xiaoyang village on the afternoon of the second day after setting sail. According to the distance, it would not take that long. However, the researcher's sea chart came from the Li family pirates and the Kun Chamber of Commerce. The interior of the Bohai Sea is a blind spot. The area around Tianjin Sanwei is actually a very important dock, but the water transportation here mainly goes through the Beijing-Hangzhou Grand Canal. Due to the Ming dynasty's policy, sea transportation has not been able to develop. Therefore, the interior of Bohai Sea is still an undeveloped area in terms of sea transportation. Game setting. Therefore, the fleet of the researcher also sailed in the dark. It wasted some time. In addition, the scattered resources in the near sea and on the route have long been picked up by the heroes of various forces. However, there are not many heroes who come to explore the deep sea and areas far from the route. Many hard bones that cannot be chewed are left here. There are haunted ghost ships and sunken ships, there are abandoned ships occupied by water elements, and there are sea areas occupied by water monsters. In fact, these were originally left for players, but for the time being, players can only drive small boats and sail in the near sea and on the safe routes that have been opened. They can't go to these special places at all. Once a small ship deviates from the route, its durability will begin to drop. At least after having a medium-sized ship, players are qualified to explore unknown waters. Now these undeveloped virgin lands have naturally become the food for the powerful fleet of the researchers. A hero with a few hundred command strengths may not be able to defeat them, but an admiral with a command strength of more than 50,000 is invincible in this area. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 384. In the hands of the fleet admiral, the researcher, the Aristarchus II telescope finally played its true role. The reconnaissance range of a fleet is already very wide. The fleet of an ordinary sea hero cannot compare with it. In addition, Xiao Ming's 4-4 puppet canoe and Aristarchus II telescope can also increase the reconnaissance range of the fleet. In particular, the telescope is more effective. The reconnaissance range of the fleet has exceeded the range of Xiao Ming Yuan. This made Xiao Ming a little unconvinced, and he should still be the best in reconnaissance. So he released a mental scan. Xiao Ming was just being childish. It was unreasonable to compare with the Zerg scanning map. The Zerg scanning map is equivalent to a strategic skill. This skill completely covered up the brilliance of the telescope, which made Xiao Ming happy and a little regretful. It would be great if the telescope could be replaced with other treasures. Huh? What did I see? Xiao Ming saw some things in the scanning map that were not seen within the fleet's reconnaissance range. Some scattered floating objects, treasure chests on the sea, and survivors. These things are clearly within the detection range. Why didn't the fleet detect them? This actually involves the problem of system settings. Xiao Ming only found out the truth later, of course he can guess it now. This is the restriction that the system imposes on players who become admirals. When the admiral eats meat on the sea, he must leave some soup for other ordinary players, right? So under normal circumstances, when the player sails in the form of an admiral commanding a fleet, he can't see some things. Even with a telescope, he still can't see them. Only when the player learns a higher level detection skill can he see it again. Obviously, scan map is a sufficiently advanced skill. Since he saw it, Xiao Ming would definitely not be polite. Moreover, as an admiral, the fleet occupies a larger area of water, making it more convenient to pick up items. For things that are a little further away, you can also send your generals to pick them up in a small boat. The large army doesn't even need to stop, and it's no problem to continue sailing. A large amount of gold coins and resources were picked up by the researchers. Although Xiao Ming is wealthy in the game, his personality makes him look down on these small amounts of money. In addition, the researchers have also rescued many survivors who were stranded at sea. If the survivors were rescued by ordinary players, they would generally give a treasure to show their gratitude. Among them, the first level treasure is the most common. Of course, sometimes they may not give anything. It all depends on luck. But if they are salvaged by the fleet, the situation is different. Survivors at sea are generally qualified seafarers. In most cases, the fleet they originally belonged to has died, or they are not very loyal to their original employers. In addition, the fleet of the researchers, which is composed of large warships, is extremely attractive to seafarers. Seafarers originally make a living everywhere. So these rescued sailors will directly join the fleet of the admiral player, but generally will not join the player's private army. The worst of these people is also a first-level sailor. 2-3 levels are more common, sometimes they may get a navigator or even a general. Of course, the survivors may not join. This is usually because their master is still there, and they are very loyal to the master. They will go back to find the original owner at will. But the admiral can't work in vain, so they will give the player a treasure. However, along the way, the researcher set sail from Xinluo to Xiaoyang village and rescued more than 30 survivors in total. They all joined the researcher's fleet as crew resources. This shows the appeal of large warships in East Asia. It's a pity that these 30 people are all sailors, and there is no navigator. But there is no need to be anxious, there is a long way to go. At present, the player who becomes an admiral is probably the only one who becomes an admiral. Navigators will have it, and generals will also have it. In addition to resources and survivors, there are many sunken ships, ghost ships, sea monster gathering places, etc. that can be explored on the sea. Facing these locations, the system gives the researcher two choices. The first choice is to lead a large force to explore as an admiral. Doing so will generally scare away small groups of enemies. Who will fight against your army with 50,000 command power? The battle is won automatically, and the player gets a small amount of resources and a little admiral experience. These experiences can be used to upgrade the admiral skin level. In rare cases, plot events will be triggered. In this choice, since the enemies are scared away in advance, they will take away most of the property. So the player will get fewer resources. Another option is to lead your own guards to explore as an ordinary player. This becomes the normal mode. But you must be careful, the researcher is only a level 0, level 5 hero, with a command power of only 320. The puppets led are all level 1. The troops of the three generals, Lin Shen, Xin Yulang, and Su Yubi have just been formed, and they are not very strong. If you really explore, it will be miserable if you can't beat the enemy. If you can beat it, you will get the hero experience, and the resources you get are more than the first option. This will be a very annoying choice for most players. The same is true for Xiaoming. In reality, scanning the map can see the enemy's troops. It is easy to decide whether to fight or not. But in the Magic Planet game, the troops at these locations are actually random. There is a probability range. It is possible to encounter more enemies or fewer enemies. Scanning the map can only determine a rough range. But there is no way to know how many enemies will be randomly encountered this time. This makes Xiaoming very entangled. But there is always a way. Xiaoming thought about it again and again, and thought of his other ability alchemy. The 6th level mental power obtained from the Zerg is Xiaoming's biggest reliance besides source energy. In terms of mental power, Xiaoming is equivalent to a 6th level bishop or an intermediate magician. Even more than that. This makes the mental power of the character used by Xiaoming when he logs in also reach such a high level. Of course, the character's level has not been raised, and he cannot learn the high-level magic in the game. He can only use the skills that Xiaoming has mastered. Skills like scanning the map, mental shield, and alchemy are no less than high-level magic. There are similar abilities in high-level magic. Since Xiaoming's mental power has been recognized by the system, alchemy can be used. And like source energy, mental power skills are smoother to use in the game and consume less energy. Now the wild monsters Xiaoming encountered were in trouble. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 385. The wreckage of 7 or 8 medium-sized ships was stranded crookedly on a reef, and the hulls were already in tatters. There were holes everywhere on the hulls, and many aquatic creatures came in and out. The planks were full of mud, moss, seaweed and various small-shelled creatures. The masts on the deck were all half broken, and there were several unknown water birds standing on the top. Cloth items such as flags and sails had long since rotted away. There were some tightly woven thick cables that remained, tightly attached to the hull. The outside of the hull was covered with sand, silt, biological remains, and excrement. Probably only the outline of the ship could be seen. This area formed a unique ecosystem. For some reason, water elements particularly like this environment. It seems that it is not particularly appropriate to describe water elements as settling down in such places. Because water elements are not flesh and blood creatures. Instead, they are condensed from water elements and are generally referred to as elemental creatures. Does this creature have a concept of home in its mind? Xiaoming expressed doubt. Water elements look like mermaids, but they are not beautiful at all. The heads of water elements look like some very ugly aliens. There is room for improvement in aesthetics. There are more than 300 water elements gathered here, most of which are level 3, and more than 40 of them are young level 2 water elements. There are also more than a dozen water element archers upgraded to level 3 and level 20. Although they are archers, the bows and arrows of water elements are also condensed from ice. This is what they imitated from surface creatures. Underwater, this kind of bow and arrow is actually not practical. When they advance to level 4 ice elements, they can directly shoot long-range magic ice cones, and they don't need ice bows and arrows. This place is obviously not prepared for players at this stage. Players at this stage should not enter the deep sea. This is a situation that players can only deal with when they develop to a higher stage. But today, the home of the water element was unexpectedly broken into by a group of low-level guys. All the water elements looked at this group of ignorant guys in surprise. The attacking force was a small force of only 4 squads led by a hero, and they were all low-level soldiers. There was a first-level blue skeleton General Lin Shen, leading 54 puppet canoe troops. They were all configured with 1 scout and 3 pirates. There was a second-level blue hammer dwarf General Xingyi Longzi Yuabang, leading 66 first-level hammer dwarves and 27 second-level hammer dwarves. There was a first-level green human General Suyubi, leading 200 first-level pirate puppets. The commander was a 0th level 5th level green hero researcher, who personally led 160 first-level pirate puppets. From this configuration, we can see that all the generals failed to lead the troops with full staffing. Only the researcher himself was almost full. Except for Xingyi Long, who had his own private army, the other 2 generals led puppets made by the researcher himself. Because it was a new week, the researcher made an extra puppet with 320 command power, otherwise the troops would be even more shabby. Xinluo City actually allows researchers to recruit some soldiers, and even up to level 3 soldiers. But the researcher's fleet has to sail far. The soldiers recruited in Xinluo City cannot be replenished in time, and level 3 is not very useful. The practicality is not as good as the level 1 puppets made by the researcher himself. At least a large number can be accumulated. Xiaoming also used source energy to strengthen his soldiers. Xiaoming equipped all the pirate puppets, including those on the canoe, with crossbows. So the researcher has a powerful long-range force. Xiaoming also equipped the hammer dwarves with shields. Let them become more qualified meat shields. Even so, it is far from enough to face the water elements. Most of these water elements are level 3, and their defense and life are too strong. This group of level 1 puppets can only kill 7 or 8 water elements at most, and then they will be approached by the enemy. Although the group of dwarves were equipped with shields, they only increased their defense. With their level 2 bodies, they could not stop the army of water elements. Once the water elements got close, these level 1 pirate puppets would be quickly disassembled into parts. The researchers had no time to repair them. The water elements felt extremely humiliated by being invaded by such a weak army. If they could not quickly eliminate this arrogant little army, they would definitely be laughed at by other elemental people in the future. What would the earth element think? What would the air element think? How could they raise their heads in front of other elemental creatures in the future? The water elements raised their heads and roared to the sky one after another. Unfortunately, the sound was like pouring water into a thermos, without any majesty. Plop plop, the water elements jumped into the water and swam quickly towards the team of researchers. Although there were crossbow arrows shooting like rain, the attacks did not break the defense, and the basic damage of the level 1 puppets was too low. On average, 2 or 3 arrows were needed to cause 1 point of damage. Water elements can slowly recover their lives in water. Along the way, only 4 water elements were shot dead. The water elements were about to rush to the front. Suddenly, a thick stone wall rose from the reef in front of them, blocking all the water elements outside and preventing them from fighting in close combat. There was only one opening in the entire stone wall, but Xingyi Ailang and the dwarves blocked the gap. Xiao Ming put a mental shield on all the 3 or 4 dwarves in the front row. Just take your time to attack the water elements. The strategic defense of the researcher is 1, provided by the level 1 admiral skin, and the life is only more than 100. So the mental shield he released is not very strong, with a defense of 5 and a durability of less than 1000. Even so, this amount of health is thick enough. The water element needs to attack for 5 minutes to destroy a mental shield. But Xiao Ming can constantly update the mental shield. In other words, with these dwarves, with these mental shields blocking here, the water element will never get in before Xiao Ming's mental power is exhausted. The surrounding stone walls are the same, all made by Xiao Ming with alchemy. They are also constantly replenished. However, even so, the battle is still a hard battle. The bows and arrows of the dwarves and the level 1 puppets have relatively low attack power. Even with concentrated fire power, 1 round of attack can only kill 1 water element. If you are unlucky, you can't kill any. Because the water element is fighting at home, for the water element that is only injured but not killed, the system defaults that the next attack will not hit it again, but will hit another one. At the same time, the injured water element will hide in the water and slowly recover its health. This is the advantage of the home field. Isn't this playing rogue? Xiao Ming thought about his own situation and didn't feel embarrassed to complain. He was clearly more rogue. You can't just allow the state officials to set fires and not allow the people to light lamps. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 386. The drillers were not without casualties. The dwarf and Xingyi Ailang in the front were both wearing mental shields, so they would not be killed. But the enemy still had more than a dozen level 3, level 20 water archers. Although there were not many of them, they were divided into 2 teams. However, their damage and attack were high, and with their concentrated firepower, Xiao Ming would often lose a level 1 pirate puppet because he had no time to repair it. If they continued to kill each other, even if the drillers won, it would be a miserable victory. In theory, since the enemy's ranged troops were small, they should focus their fire to kill the water archers first. But it was useless to do so. The water archers were standing relatively far back, and the hit rate would be halved again when shooting at such a far target. Moreover, they were level 3, level 20, with higher defense and more life. Being at home, they recovered faster. The ranged ability of these level 1 puppets under the drillers was really not good. Even with the drillers' level 3 magic chain fireballs, it was not enough. One reason is that the magic power of the researcher is too low and the damage is limited. Another reason is that the water element is too resistant to fire magic. Moreover, the magic damage and the physical damage of the puppet always randomly hit different individuals and will not be superimposed at all. Xiaoming tried for a few minutes, but he couldn't kill any of them. He had to focus on shooting the nearby water elements. Wouldn't it be a heavy loss if this continued? Xiaoming suddenly had an idea and remembered a game novel he had seen before. The protagonist used healing magic on his subordinates while the enemy hit his subordinates. As long as the time difference is small enough, the lives of his subordinates can be saved. It's worth a try, so Xiaoming aimed at the arrow of the water element and used puppet repair on this unit while hitting his own troops. As expected, the life of the puppet was saved. This sentence is so strange. And because Xiaoming now has a clearer understanding of time and a deeper understanding, so Xiaoming can time very accurately. Some people may wonder why puppet repair is used instead of mental shield. Isn't the spirit shield stronger? This involves the game setting for battles on the strategic map. As mentioned earlier, when a team is attacked by another enemy team, the damage will be randomly concentrated on any soldier in the team. If this soldier is killed, the remaining damage will randomly select another soldier until the last soldier is only injured but not killed. It depends entirely on luck which one will be killed randomly. So Xiaoming doesn't know which puppet to add the spirit shield to. The probability of guessing is too low. It's different to use puppet repair. Puppet repair is used for the entire army, and it will automatically find the injured puppet for repair. Unless there are many injured puppets, this skill will not be random. It will definitely repair the puppet that was hit. Naturally, the life of this puppet can be saved. Some people may also question why Xiaoming doesn't rush to the enemy's rear team again, and then kill those long-range archers in a race against time to solve the problem. It needs to be explained here that the location of this battle is inside the wreckage of those medium-sized ships. If the researcher jumps higher, he will hit the ceiling, and he can't fly. Of course, it's not impossible to fly over there. Let yourself stand higher, turn Neza into wings, and glide over. But now Xiaoming still wants to test his combat command ability. Therefore, it is worth suffering a little loss. Although they are all cheats, there is always a difference between more and less. If Xiaoming doesn't limit himself, he will have no chance to practice battlefield command. When the cheat doesn't work in the future, won't he be in a hurry? So every time Xiaoming fights, if possible, he will let the battle be in a stalemate for a period of time to exercise his command ability. It's good to be able to research one more tactic. Like this time, didn't Xiaoming learn the skills of on-site rescue? When Xiaoming found that his tactics could ensure that his side would not die again. And as long as he kept grinding, he could always grind these water elements to death. He stopped procrastinating. Instead, he began to think about how to end the battle quickly. The main game of Magic Planet has a very good feature: it can almost recognize and accept any kind of supernatural energy. Basically, as long as the player can use it in reality, it can basically be realized in the game. It is really worthy of being the training base, of the reincarnation. Just like Xiaoming's source energy. 90% of the beginners of various supernatural energies do not have much energy. In this way, they will be like Xiaoming at the beginning, cherishing energy very much and not willing to use it. Therefore, there is a lack of practice, and the energy limit will not increase. So they cherish energy more and it is more difficult to grow. Finally, a vicious circle is formed. In the game, to achieve the same effect, the supernatural energy required is only a fraction of that in reality, or even less. Players can naturally practice boldly. Of course, this is a secret, and only people in the circle know it. Most players have to rely on themselves to understand it. Xiaoming knew this a long time ago. At this time, Xiaoming needs to consider which abilities to use to save time and effort to end this battle. My command power is full, so I shouldn't use Z-series puppetry or Death Harvest. It's not that I can't use it, but it's too wasteful. The new recruits cannot join the army of the researchers, and they can only be disbanded after the war. Using the Mars virus will poison your own dwarves, and it may not be able to poison the elemental creatures. If you fight every second, it's too hard to kill 300 water elements by yourself. Lushan Zhenglongba? It's still my own fault. Sword control, 10,000 swords. It's not much easier. Summon the uniform shadow clones and alien beasts, and you should be able to win, right? But it's also very tiring. The uniform shadow clones of the Beast Girl series, as well as the aliens, are only level 3. They are similar to the level of water elements, and their strength can be much stronger than water elements. Summoning 100 or so will greatly increase your strength. It is indeed easier to win this battle. Xiaoming is a one-man army, so it's not a problem to defeat this enemy. The real question is how to save the most effort. The answer is self-destruction. Of course, it is not the role of the researcher who self-destructs, but to create a bunch of shadow clones to rush into the center of the water element's army, and then collectively self-destruct. Blow him up. This is the first time that Xiaoming uses self-destruction on a large scale. The effect is remarkable. Half of the water elements in close combat were killed by the collective explosion of hundreds of hidden clones, the other half were seriously injured. Iron-blooded Neza and hot-blooded Neza transformed into hundreds of small metal swords, and Xiaoming performed the 10,000 swords technique. After a storm of sword blades, the close combat water elements were killed and wounded. The few water element archers who were alive in the distance were now powerless and could only silently wait for the judgment of fate. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 387. At about 3 p.m. on June 24, Xiaoming's two troops finally met in Xiaoyang village. The second fleet of the Li family of the researcher met with the Handong detachment of the explorer. The explorer and the researcher met again after 2 weeks. It is called the 624 meeting in history. Well, in fact, only Xiaoming himself called it that. What is there to commemorate when a big account meets a small account? The explorer has not left Xiaoyang village. On the one hand, he is busy with the job transfer and strengthening of Handong's troops, and on the other hand, he is waiting for the arrival of the researcher. Xiaoming fought all the way here, relying on his current high cultivation level and various abilities, and overturned many low-level group monsters and monster nests. And all of them were fought with their own private troops, and the army with 50,000 command power was not used at all. The 50,000 command power here is just an approximate number. The command power of each large ship is slightly different, all around 10,000. In summary, the general leader of the Li family's second fleet should actually be around 55,000. The driller only recruited 50,000, leaving some vacancies for future surrenders. You know, the driller has a professional talent for diplomacy. Unfortunately, the troops they have been fighting against are stronger than their own, and such troops will not surrender. Only monsters with lower combat power than the driller's troops are likely to surrender. Those that the driller has fought against are definitely not acceptable. There are also some large monster nests. Through mental scanning, it can be known that the military strength inside is more than several thousand, and even tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. Can this be called a monster nest? It's basically a force. Even the second fleet may not be able to afford to provoke those who are too strong. Xiaoming guessed that there must be something strange, and it is also likely to be the place where many tasks are issued or settled. There are also some forces that have clearly displayed their flags, including Mao Wenlong, who is stationed in Pi Island by the Ming Dynasty. Of course, the scanned map will only show that this is the force of the Ming Dynasty. The name of the hero cannot be distinguished. However, facing these forces, the researcher did not contact any of them for the time being. It was important to meet with the explorers first. He was about to sail far away, so there was no need to alert the enemy. If he caused trouble, he would just walk away, and Xiaoyang village would probably be affected. What Xiaoming did not know was that he and Mao Wenlong were actually afraid of both ends. Mao Wenlong's military strength was at its peak, far exceeding the researcher's fleet. But the largest ship in his navy was only a medium-sized ship, and he would still be terrified when facing the large ships of the researcher. Mao Wenlong also had eyes and ears in Xinluo, so he naturally knew that this was the Li family's second fleet. But Mao Wenlong had a deeper understanding of the situation in the Ming Dynasty. He did not think that there would be such a strong naval force in the Ming Dynasty. So he was worried that external forces would intervene and use the Li family pirates as a springboard to get a share of the pie in East Asia. So he was very wary of the second fleet. After all, the Li family was named after pirates, and if they really turned against each other, Mao Wenlong would be helpless. Besides, Li Huamei, the rising star, had never had any dealings with him, so both sides deliberately avoided each other. Within the Ming Dynasty, Mao Wenlong was considered to be diligent. The Ming Navy in Dengzhou, Leizhou and other places had no idea about this. When he set out from Xinluo port, the researcher was just a rookie with Adventure Level 2 Level 0, Strategic Level 0 Level 5, and Primary Admiral Skin Level 1. After 2 days, after more than 10 week wind-strong battles, the researcher was no longer the same when 625 met. Due to the increase in personal strength, Xiaoming's character now dares to stand on the front line, and he has also charged into the battle alone many times, beheaded the generals and captured the flag. He gained a lot of adventure experience. On the adventure map, the researcher's pirate puppet was also favored by the elves of Tanshan City. This puppet is undoubtedly more suitable for naval battles. So an additional order was placed. Making puppets also gave the researcher a lot of experience. So at this time, the researcher's adventure level rose to level 2 level 3. As a professional who has already reached level 2, it is very fast to grow 3 levels in 2 days. Because of many big battles, the strategic level of the researcher has risen rapidly, and now it is level 12 from level 0. Strategic power add 1, strategic knowledge add 2, number of troops add 1, obtain a new professional talent, elementary navigation. The combat effectiveness has been greatly improved. In terms of admiral experience, the professional has never led the entire fleet to fight as an admiral. There is not much experience gained in this regard. But the map scanning is too strong. Not only the targets on the water are clear at a glance, but also the undercurrents and reefs under the water are clearly visible. So the second fleet sailed very smoothly. This is undoubtedly a plus. In addition, the current admiral skin level is too low, and it is easier to upgrade, so the elementary pirate skin has been upgraded to level 2. The attributes of the level 2 skin have doubled, and the current attributes are: Naval Strategic Attack add 2, Naval Strategic Defense add 2, Maritime Mobility add 20%, Command add 200. This makes Xiaoming very excited. The identity of Admiral is really awesome. My primary pirate skin has been strengthened by 2 levels of energy. The upper limit of the level has been raised from level 10 to level 30. If it is at the maximum level, this attribute is too abnormal. It is not difficult to upgrade the primary pirate skin, so the system limits the upper limit of the level to 10, just because it does not want the players with the admiral status to be too powerful. According to the normal game procedure, other players have reached the maximum level of skin, but they still have to waste a long time at the primary admiral stage. Xiao Ming will probably have already touched the edge of the intermediate pirate skin when the primary pirate skin is far from the full level. But when you meet a guy like Xiao Ming who even has to give face to the reincarnation space, the game system will not be too restrictive, and even hopes that Xiao Ming will use more source energy in the game. Xiao Ming's big backer, the nine-tailed fox, also has a very high status in the game system. The background is also very good. The first thing after the meeting, the explorer took the researcher and his subordinates to Pingnan City to learn magic. Pingnan City has now built a third-level magic tower. The fourth-level magic tower is not that Xiao Ming does not want to build, but that the deceased does not meet the conditions and cannot be built. The fourth-level strategic magic is extremely powerful, so it cannot be spread at will. It is very difficult to learn the fourth-level strategic magic. Xiao Ming does not even know what the prerequisites are now. The researcher spent time in the magic tower in Pingnan City and learned all 6 magics. Level 1 magic, Stone Skin, Slowness, Body Shield. Level 2 magic, Death Ripple, Quicksand Trap. Level 3 magic, Soul Gathering magic. Among them, the Body Shield can reduce the melee damage suffered by the own troops. Quicksand Trap can randomly place 4 quicksand traps on the battlefield. The trap will restrict the enemy who stepped on it, making it unable to move for a period of time. Just the random placement is very luck dependent. The Soul Gathering magic can revive the creatures of the own undead tribe. This magic is not very useful for the researcher. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 388. In the third-level magic tower in Pingnan City, all the generals are trying their best to learn magic. It is limited to wisdom magic. Explorer, Han Dong, Chiu Santung, Taizu, Xingyi Ailong, Su Yubi, and others cannot learn the third-level strategic magic. Only the researcher and Lin Shen have learned the third-level magic. Of course, as the local snake, the deceased and the generals around him have learned the corresponding magic long ago. Lin Shen, a magic scholar, used his academic ability to teach the ship-destroying technique and the fiery magic wall to the explorer and Han Dong. Due to limited time, Chiu Santung and Taizu only learned the first-level ship-destroying technique, and there was no time to learn the second-level fiery magic wall. On Saturday, the 25th, they also had a collective mission. The second fleet of the researcher mixed with Han Dong's Xiaoankan No. 1 ship, the medium-sized Chinese sailing ship rewarded by the mission, went to the place where Han Dong went out to sea to pick up people. This is part of the Purple Master level mission Save the People of the Ming Dynasty. Didn't some people leave before? They went to gather their fellow villagers and neighbors. From then on, they would come back with different numbers of villagers. These people would generally gather at the beach, waiting for the rescue of the explorer or Han Dong. So for the mission, Han Dong needed to go to the beach frequently to check. If he met the people of Daming, he could take them back to Xiaoyang village directly. In the first period of time, this situation would be more frequent, when almost all the people who could be rescued were rescued. This mission would exist in name only, unless Han Dong could open up the situation on the battlefield. For example, he could capture an orc city. Then there would definitely be new people to rescue. Of course, this mission would occasionally encounter orcs pursuers. Fighting was also indispensable. This trip to the beach was probably the one that rescued the most villagers, and it was also the one with the strongest orcs pursuers. It might be that the explorer killed the general of the Nyugula family and stirred up a hornet's nest. This time, the orcs sent thousands of pursuers with strong command to kill, and it was unknown which hero led them. But they ran into the muzzle of the gun. 5 large ships as tall as city walls came to the sea, with gun muzzles on the sides as dense as honeycombs, the feeling of the orcs, and the decks were full of strong soldiers, swords and spears like forests, bows and crossbows like the sea, and shouts of killing like thunder. Seeing this, The orcs turned around and ran away. Although the orcs are warlike, they are not stupid. Facing such a battlefield where they are obviously sending themselves to death, running away is also the norm. Even if they run very fast and decisively. There are still more than 100 orcs who were killed by the fleet's artillery fire during the escape. The bodies were also collected by Xiaoming in Guangmingding. Turn around and tell the dead to take out and strengthen their own troops. The bodies of Niugulu Chaoshair and his subordinates who died in the battle were also dealt with in this way. The more than 500 Ming people who were rescued were saved from desperate situations and collectively shouted "Long live!" With such strong ships and powerful guns, there is no need to worry about the destruction of the Tartars. Thinking too far, the orcs cannot be dealt with by 5 large ships. But at least these people are no longer afraid of the threat of orcs. It's a pity that they used a butcher knife to kill a chicken. The heroes and generals on the ship didn't get much experience. Xiaoyang village has more than 300 people, and Handong has 186 more level 1 peasants joining the army. According to convention, Xiaoming transferred them all to crossbow monks, but Handong's troops were almost full. The explorer couldn't take them away, so this group of new monks were left in Xiaoyang village to garrison. Handong and the explorer both received task rewards for saving people. Because they both had the task of saving the people of Ming dynasty. These more than 500 people were also counted separately. The explorer's task progress reached 120 people, and Handong's progress was 502 people. A few days ago, after they fought with Chaoshair, some villagers rescued at that time were also counted in the task. However, before receiving the task, the villagers of Xiaoyang village rescued by Handong and the people along the way could not be counted. The progress of the explorer and Handong's tasks exceeded 100. So they both received a 100-person reward, a human village building stone. Although this thing is not the first time to get it, it is also a very valuable treasure. Unfortunately, such things cannot be strengthened by source energy. Xiaoming didn't know where the brain hole came from. He suddenly had a whim and took the explorer's village building stone into Guangmingding for use. Of course, it was rejected by the system. Guangmingding, which originated from telekinesis, has been proofread by the game system. While expanding the space, it also prohibits any military creatures from appearing in Guangmingding in the game. Building a village will produce soldiers, which would break the rules. Therefore, the game restricts Guangmingding from building a village. Xiaoming did not give up and took it to Kunlun for experiment. Kunlun did not prohibit the construction of a village, but now the entire volume of Kunlun is only more than 300 cubic meters. It is too small to build a house, and it can't accommodate a village at all, so it still doesn't work. Of course, if Kunlun is big enough in the future, it will probably be possible. How cool it is to carry a city with you. Alas, it's just a wishful thinking. I want to wait until Kunlun grows big enough to accommodate a village. Haha, I don't know how many millions of years it will take. Even if I live to that time, I guess no one will play this game anymore, right? Anyway, Xiaoming put the 2 village building stones into Kunlun for storage. Let's see who can use them in the future. After the fleet of the researchers sent the rescued villagers back to Xiaoyang village, they did not stay and continued to explore the sea. After the explorer finished his work in Xiaoyang village, he used the holy image to teleport himself back to Wushan town, to the bedroom of his private mansion. Because the coordinates of the adventure map recorded by the holy image are here. To really lead troops into the strategic map to fight, the explorer must use the temple system. The teleportation of the holy image is limited to 9 people, so until now the explorer has been running around with Handong on the strategic map as an individual. He has not officially entered the strategic map as a hero. As the explorer walked out of the bedroom, he was thinking about going to Lanzhou city to use the temple. At this time, the sky had darkened, and it was time to light the lamps in the game. Things like dark sky naturally cannot hinder the player's game progress. So Xiaoming planned to go out and drive a carriage to Lanzhou City. Just as the explorer passed the garden, suddenly, several dark figures rushed out of the bushes. One of them, with the momentum of thunder and lightning, chopped the explorer's neck with a palm, and the explorer fell to the ground immediately. I could vaguely hear the sound of fighting. It should be the shadow warriors that the ascetic monk arranged for the explorer. They didn't take action until I was knocked down. It was a dereliction of duty. But I hope they can save me. With a hint of resentment and expectation, the explorer fell into a coma. And this coma lasted for 2 days. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 389. Xiaoming was not in a hurry at all about the explorer falling into a coma. This means that the explorer encountered a special plot. The longer the coma, the better. The first time this special plot happened to the researcher, he was not in a coma, but time-space jumped to the sea and drifted idly for about 2 days. What was the result? He actually jumped from the adventure map to the strategic map at that time. And he also encountered Li Huamei's fleet. It can be said that among Xiaoming's 4 characters now, the researcher has the best game progress. Xiaoming suddenly became a billionaire because of this. Even the dead who has been developing on the strategic map can't compare with him. This is the beauty of the special plot. Of course, the player himself must have the ability to survive in the special plot. The researcher was able to drift for 2 days because he used source energy to forcibly create a canoe so that he could survive on the sea. Otherwise, with the physical strength of the player character, it would be impossible to swim for so long. It is hard to say what situation he would encounter at that time. He might be rescued by another pirate group and become a handyman on the ship, or even sold as a slave. Or he might drown in the sea, resurrect in Wushan town and start over. Then he would miss this opportunity. Xiaoming certainly has confidence in himself. With all the cheats he has now, he should be able to handle most situations. Even if he can't handle it, it's nothing more than asking the hero to start over. Who's afraid of who? The past few days of suing the dead have been quite boring. It's nothing more than digging and repairing on the strategic map. The combat troops are almost turned into engineering teams. The 2 days when the water god shoes were worn by Han Dong, the subordinates worked in the swamp with 1 foot in the water and 1 foot in the mud. The efficiency was reduced several times. Fortunately, they were all undead, so there was no passive strike. Later, the water god shoes were taken back, and this kind of thing stopped. It's still hard work. The annoying thing is that this kind of excavation and repair work does not increase experience points. It's several times more difficult to upgrade. Moreover, there are no wild monsters on the abandoned map, and almost no battles occur. There is no experience. At most, there are occasional wild beasts to attack, which will not be counted as battles. Generally, they occur in the form of events. The most common thing is that the skeleton soldiers under the command of the dead are suddenly attacked by some wild canines, and a rib or something is taken away. The impact on the skeleton soldiers is minimal, so the system can only count this as an event, not a battle. The bones of the skeleton soldiers contain a small amount of death breath and magical power, and the meat has long been lost. In fact, it is not delicious. Most wild dogs will not come again after eating one. They will not come even if you pay them. There are also a few mavericks who are addicted to this taste. They often come to steal 2 bones. The whole army of the dead is in tears. If it were humans, everyone would probably make a bet on this matter to win a little money and add some fun to life. Unfortunately, the whole army of the dead is made of undead, and they are dead all day long. Even generals with high intelligence do not know how to engage in high-level entertainment activities such as betting. After becoming a formal primary temple, the diver's temple immediately became rejuvenated. It can finally play a role. Believers can add some blessing spells to themselves in the temple. Some spells are not available in the seabed. Even if there are, they are not affordable for the common people of the sea. And the limestone town where the diver is located does not have the sea god's own temple. So the Temple of Light has become an option for everyone. After this news was spread by the children, couriers, and naughty kids in the temple, the diver's temple gradually began to have new believers. The diver has the divine skill, divine power strike, and no longer avoids fighting. In addition, with the confidence brought by the octopus slingers who can defeat 8 people, and the protection of David Diozi, the diver finally dared to take on some combat tasks and no longer had to be wretched. In fact, the intelligent program discovered this matter first. Xiaoming himself did not change his mind so quickly. Under the control of the intelligent program, Xiaoming took on several tasks to help the Sea tribe find lost children. These Sea tribe parents are really heartless. When their children are lost, they don't rush to find them, but instead send tasks to players. This is because Xiaoming doesn't know much about the Sea tribe. The Sea tribe usually disciplines their children in a free-range manner. Some children go out to play for a few days before returning home, and parents don't worry. In fact, sending tasks is a more serious situation. Divers are quite familiar with the terrain near Greystone Town, and the Sea tribe who send tasks will most likely provide players with a direction to find. The task is not difficult. Even under the operation of the intelligent program, the divers can always find the target smoothly. Sometimes the intelligent program is more useful than people. At least they are more patient than humans. Most of these children are forced into corners by seabed predators. Most of them are large fish such as sharks. If the divers don't accept the task, these children will probably starve for a few days, and then the predators will leave. They also have to eat. Of course, if they hadn't left, then the Greystone Town security forces might have patrolled here, so there would have been no danger. Unless these naughty kids ran too far, there would have been no danger to their lives. The intelligent program took on the task and set off with 7 level 1 octopus slingers, and there were 7 reserve troops in the tent. 7 slingers can throw 56 stones in one round of attack, and their attack power is 8 times higher than other level 1 ranged weapons. Even level 2 ranged weapons are not that powerful, right? Basically, less than 3 rounds of slinging can handle such a small-scale battle. Xiaoming was very surprised that such a powerful army could not become a regular army of the Sea tribe. Is it because the output is too low? Only in one mission, a child's foot was clamped by a huge shellfish creature. It just wouldn't let go. The attack power of the octopuses was not enough to throw stones at them, as if they were tickling them. Even David Diozi, who was at the maximum level of level 3, could not cause any damage. Therefore, the intelligent program used the faith value of the temple and sent out a divine power attack. 1000 points of divine power damage, the enemy was killed instantly. The child only had some injuries on his feet, and later went to the temple and healed it with healing magic. Divine power attacks are different from magic attacks. The meat and shell of this big shell are all kept fresh. It is still a very good material. Moreover, Xiaoming dug out a large pearl from its body. The quality has reached the level of perfect second order. The intelligent program put the pearl into the backpack. After Xiaoming logged in and saw it, he gave it directly to the mermaid girl Emily. Emily's favorability towards divers is as high as 80. Ordinary jewelry needs to be given for a long time to increase the favorability. However, pearls are a material suitable for jewelers, and the quality is so high. Emily reluctantly gave Xiaoming 1 point of favorability. This girl is so difficult to raise. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 390. These octopus slingers are pretty good. I didn't expect that a small first-level Naga like you could win the favor of that person. The sea god is really kind. Xiao Ming drove the diver to the training ground of the Greystone Town military camp to see if he could get the task of fighting. The third-level fisherman instructor who sold the octopus coolie to the diver last time took the initiative to greet him on a seahorse. He was naturally attracted by the octopus slingers he had never seen before. Seeing that the diver, a first-level Naga, could lead a type of soldier that he had never seen before, the fisherman instructor was quite jealous. That's why he said what he said just now. In fact, he could also guess the source of these octopus slingers. There was a big octopus not far from the town marking the territory there, which was obvious. With the support of that big guy, the fisherman instructor did not dare to forcibly snatch the diver's mercenaries. Perhaps because of this, his tone was inevitably a little sour. It's just human nature. Who hasn't had some envy, jealousy, and hatred? Probably only the low-level undead can be immune to this. Even the Zerg will envy the strong. But the Zerg rarely envy or hate. These two emotions are really a waste of energy. If you envy, just work hard yourself. This attitude is the common value of the Zerg. It is really ironic that such a correct three views appear in the Zerg. Because the Zerg have no language and no writing, everything is communicated through the spiritual sea. It is difficult for general negative emotions to stand. Emotions such as jealousy and hatred will cause internal strife and hurt the foundation of the Zerg. Therefore, such emotions will be quickly diluted by the collective consciousness of the entire Zerg until there is no trace. Unless it is an individual with a very strong negative consciousness, if he cannot suppress the jealous fire in his heart no matter what, this individual will be rejected by the entire tribe. And it is difficult for individuals of the Zerg to survive without the tribe. Many predecessors who have possessed the Zerg have revealed their original forms in the spiritual sea. Some have been assimilated by the collective consciousness of the Zerg, some have been excluded from the Zerg. In addition to being a plug-in made by the ancestors of the Zerg for the Zerg, the spiritual sea is also a powerful touchstone. Xiao Ming was almost tricked. Xiao Ming is also a human after all. He also has negative emotions such as selfishness, arrogance, jealousy, greed, etc. Although not very strong, it is definitely dwarfed by the Zerg. To be honest, it is much more despicable than the Zerg. It's just that Xiao Ming's soul is already very strong, so he has received a strong infusion of mental power. Xiao Ming has reached the height of the master in one fell swoop. The consciousness of the Zerg who become the master is almost the same as that of humans. A small amount of negative emotions is also allowed to exist to some extent. Soldiers need to be noble and brave, but as a commander, if he doesn't have a little bit of scheming, he will only lead the Zerg to destruction. So the spiritual sea is more tolerant of the master. The master can selectively conceal his inner heart. No other Zerg can spy on the privacy of the master, even the stronger master can't do it. Because Xiao Ming climbed to the position of the master as soon as he was born in the Zerg, he was able to avoid the touchstone of the spiritual sea. He was not assimilated or rejected by the Zerg. He was even able to create his own special tribe, the Zergmen. The fisherman instructor just said a few words that were neither salty nor bland, and did not even taunt him. There was just a slight hint. Maybe he was afraid of the big octopus, so he didn't dare. But his little emotion could not be hidden in Xiao Ming's circle. Xiao Ming has seen too much envy, jealousy, and hatred from others in the past 10 years. There is no more excitement in his heart. Instructor, I am here to take the task. Is there any task suitable for me? Xiao Ming asked the instructor calmly. The instructor saw that Xiao Ming did not answer, as if he had said nothing just now. He was a little unhappy. But the player asked about the task, and he was restricted by the system and had to answer truthfully. He could only helplessly unfold the task list for Xiao Ming to look through. At the same time, he mixed in a little private goods. Explore the sea monster's lair, purple master level task. 50 kilometers east of Greystone Town, there is a terrifying cave. There is no grass within a radius of 10 kilometers, and marine life often dies here. The sea tribe in the town speculates that it should be the lair of some powerful sea monster. I hope the brave men of the sea tribe will go to find out. In fact, the contribution of divers in the training ground of Greystone Town is very average. Because divers usually accept tasks from Emily and the sea children, and often accept tasks from the fishman blacksmith. Time is limited, so he rarely accepts tasks from the sea military. The contribution is naturally not high. Therefore, purple level tasks should not appear in the task list of divers at all. Occasionally giving a blue master level task is already very face-saving. However, as the publisher of the task, the fishman instructor has the right to open some more advanced tasks to players if the players meet certain conditions. The diver has a relationship with the ancient giant octopus outside Greystone Town and immediately becomes an invisible resource. In this case, the choice of whether to open task permissions to divers falls into the hands of the fishman instructor. Logically, he didn't have a good impression of the divers. Not opening up the permissions would be the normal choice. But our instructor had a high EQ and did the opposite, opening up the permissions for the divers. He planned to use the sea monster's knife to kill the Naga's arrogance. The instructor knew that the diver could be resurrected and would definitely not die. However, these octopus slingers would most likely die in the sea monster's lair. It was also a relief. Even if the diver really succeeded, as a fishman who opened up the diver's authority, he would definitely gain a lot of points in front of the sea god. In any case, he would not suffer any loss. This guy is cunning enough. And Xiao Ming took advantage of the situation and really took on this purple task. What's so scary about fighting? Exploration is Xiao Ming's forte. The book is brief. The diver who took on the task made simple preparations and put all the octopuses in the portable tent. A Naga, followed the instructions on the map of the task and came to the task location, the entrance of a seabed cave. This place is dark and secluded, and there are no creatures wandering around. They are probably scared away by the gloomy and terrifying atmosphere here. They won't get close at all. Xiao Ming was happy when he saw it. So that's it? The smell of death emanating from this cave entrance actually smells like it. No wonder there are few plants and animals here, and no wonder I feel refreshed when I come here. I am super familiar with the smell of death. It even feels like home. Scan the map. Xiao Ming released his mental power and scanned the inside of the cave. He quickly saw the internal structure and wild monsters clearly. I wish all candidates good luck in the college entrance examination. Good health.